The big problem with the living Constitution, it seems to me, is legitimacy. I mean, why? Do you think the American people would have ratified a Constitution that said the meaning of this document, the rights it confers, shall be those determined from time to time by the Supreme Court of the United States? What? I mean, if you're going to have some standing body that revises the Constitution instead of doing it the way the Constitution provides, why would it be 9 lawyers, for Pete's sake? I mean, do you think there's something that I learned at Harvard Law School or my colleagues learned at Yale? We're all from Harvard and Yale, by the way. That makes us somehow more knowledgeable about whether there ought to be, and therefore is, a right to abortion or a right to assisted suicide or a right to same-sex marriage. Or I didn't learn anything that makes me qualified to decide those things. I learned to be a lawyer, which means you read texts and you figure out the meaning of those texts, and you look at the cases that have interpreted those texts in the past. That's what a lawyer is. Why would you think that these people have any more expertise than Joe Sixpack in deciding whether there ought to be a right to assisted suicide, for example? It's just not something you learn as a lawyer. So why pick this body of 9 lawyers? Among other things, it's a very unrepresentative body. Lawyers as a class are unrepresentative to begin with. They've all gone to graduate school. And the very successful lawyers who get appointed to the Supreme Court, they're la creme de la creme, even less representative. The current court has 4 justices from New York City. I'm one of them. Every borough represented except Staten Island. 1 from New Jersey. 2 from California, okay? So that's 7. There are 2 left. 1 is from the vast flyover country in between, California and New York. And the last one, the only Southern representative, is Clarence Thomas from Georgia. This body, religiously, in a nation that's overwhelmingly Protestant, the Supreme Court has 6 Catholics and 3 Jews. No Protestant, much less any representative of evangelicals, who are 40% of the country, not represented at all. What, are you crazy that you're going to let this group of people decide what the Constitution ought to mean? It seems to me so absurd. I mean, if you want some body less than what's provided for in the Constitution to revise the Constitution, you can do better than that, for Pete's sake. So unrepresentative of the country. So undemocratic. The killer argument in favor of originalism is this one, and I go to law schools just to make trouble. I tell the students to ask their professor, "Professor, you don't agree with Justice Scalia. You don't think that the Constitution means what it meant when it was adopted." Okay, understand that. But you know, Justice Scalia, he has that criterion. And if you show him that a particular provision violates that criterion, you got him. He's handcuffed. He can't do the nasty conservative things he would like to do to the country. Okay? Now, if you are not going to control your judges that way, you have to have some other way to control. What is your criteria? You have some other way to control them? Think about it. There is no other possible criterion. What are you going to use? Natural law? We all agree on that, don't we?